Good Friday afternoon, everybody. It's Jim Williams here. We're going to talk a lot of baseball because baseball's trade deadline is coming up here on Monday, and things are beginning to heat up. There's some very interesting situations going on. Let's jump to the MLB trade rumors page and find out that Casey Mize, pitcher for the Tigers, has been scratched from his start tonight. Now, it's quite possible that he's been scratched for a trade, according to multiple reports. First reported by Chris McClanahan of the Detroit News, the move preserves Mize's health heading into Monday's trade deadline. A deal is not yet in place, but holding Mize out signals that Detroit is ready to sell. All eyes, obviously, in Detroit have been on what's going to happen with Tarik Skubal. Detroit has remained on the periphery of the AL wildcard race, giving the chance that the club could avoid selling at the deadline. But after dropping 4 out of 5 of their last games and coughing up a 7-0 lead yesterday, where Skubal actually pitched and the game left with 7-0, they turned around and lost. That the idea of them keeping him at this point seems to be, I would say, 25 for and 75 against. So the Tigers may be getting rid of 2 pitchers, Casey Mize and Tarik Skubal. We'll get back to Skubal in a little bit, but that's where we are on that one. Now, another guy who just kind of came off the DL, but he's getting a lot of interest because he's got one of the most electric arms in baseball, is a guy by the name of Hunter Greene. Now, Hunter Greene, if you're not familiar, is with the Cincinnati Reds. He really hasn't had much pitching this year. He had some serious arm injuries, but suddenly, he's back. He seems to be overcome that problem, and the Reds, rightfully so, are drawing some significant interest. Kenny Rosenthal of The Athletic, Mark Feinstein of MLB.com, and Buster Olney of ESPN all have said that the market is quite electric for him. They also have told teams who've inquired that shortstop Elly De La Cruz is not going anywhere. So Elly De La Cruz of the Reds, if you're thinking about him being traded to your favorite team, don't think about it. He ain't going to go nowhere. He's definitely staying where he is. Now, Greene was the number 2 overall pick back in 2017. He debuted with a pair of solid seasons in 22-23, showing a big ability to miss bats with a major, ability to really just. He's got that electric arm, as I said before. He is over 237 and 2/3 innings. His numbers are 4.62 of an ERA, a 30.7 strikeout rate, a 9.3% walk rate, and a 1.63 home run rate. The Reds were encouraged enough by his blazing heater and his power slider and missed bat ability that they inked Greene to a 6-year, $53 million extension early in the 23 season. Now, the rest of the season, as we said before, he had some issues and wasn't great, and he ended the 24 season. In 24, he broke out again with 150 innings and a 2.75 ERA. He fanned 27% of the batters that he faced and only walked 9% of them. His home run mark plummeted to 9, which was an 0.72, which basically puts him in a really strong category. He actually, when you put the numbers down, his numbers match up really well with Tarik Skubal, Dylan Cease, and Logan Gilbert. So Green's a guy who, keep an eye on as we see there, because again, he's still got time on that contract, and it's a relatively, friendly deal. So at the moment, the Braves, the Rays, the Yankees, and a number of other teams are taking a significant look at the Cincinnati Reds, Mr. Hunter Green. Okay. Let's go down and see who else we've got on the list. The Twins infielder Cody Clemens, basically right now, is another person who might very well be on the trading block. A lot of people are looking at him as a possible, utility guy, or someone who can come in and step in at the shortstop role. The Rangers are expected to activate Corey Seager against the Astros this weekend. Again, Seager missed all of July with lower back inflammation. It's highly unlikely that Seager's going to be traded. There was a trade. Wasn't a big trade, but it was a trade nonetheless. The Twins added some bullpen help on this morning, formally announcing that they acquired left-hander A.J. Minter, AJ from the Mets, in exchange for minor leaguers Billy Amrick and Brian Abanji, who are both infielders. The right-hander Cole Sanders, who is set to undergo season-ending elbow surgery, moves from the 15-day list to the 60-day list to create a spot for Minter. Minter's salary this year will be basically $11 million, or about $3.37 million, which will be part of the Twins, making him a very reasonable get. And at the end of the season, he's a free agent. So we'll see what handles with the Mets in that regard. The Mets are clearly going to be sellers at the trade deadline. Mason Miller is getting a lot of looks, as you might expect, the closer for the Padres. They're actually lining up in what could be a serious trade. Now, the good news for the Padres is they're trying to dump as much in the way of payroll as possible. And Miller is one of these guys who could bring a very high return on what's going on there. Leo Taveras and several other prospects were sent to the A's last year to get him. Now, due to all that trading, the farm system is in rough shape. Baseball America ranked the Padres dead last in their fan graphs. So, whatever they can do to strengthen that farm system is going to be something they're going to be looking at. So don't look for the Padres, because they can get it. A lot of people want Mr. Miller there, and to get Miller, it's going to cost, and it's going to cost a lot of prospects. So, there aren't that many people who have the kind of prospects it's going to take to move him, but there are a few, and right now it looks like the Braves, then the Yankees, and possibly even the Dodgers are taking a look at that. And if I had to guess, and that's exactly what I'd be doing, is guessing, I would say that it's most likely that he might end up with the Yankees, because they seem to be the most interested in having him on that. Let's go back to Tarik Skubal. And again, he's the reigning Cy Young Award winner. The Rays, Milwaukee, the Yankees, and Atlanta are all four given basically in that position. They're all pretty much in the same boat right there. I think that the Rays have the ability to get him, but they have a pretty strong pitching staff to to start with, whether they need him, I don't know. But, if you put him on the team, they already are leading the American League in wins with 21 games over 500. So we'll have to see what's going on in that regard. So the Tigers are off today. That was yesterday. They open a 3-game series today in Sacramento against the Athletics. They have a lot of free agents on that team. And, we talked about Casey Mize, Gleyber Torres, Jack Flannery, currently injured, and Kenley Jansen. All are on that team, and all have a very good possibility of not being on the team by the end of the weekend. So we will see what we will see. Speaking of baseball, let's see who is on TV this weekend so you can keep an eye on it. Now, keep a couple of things to watch. Watch for, and this is very important, watch for who is in the starting lineup and who is, or could be, pulled from the starting lineup, okay? That's a dead giveaway that somebody's either in conversation for a trade or very well could be traded by the weekend. So today at 2 o'clock on the Major League Baseball Network, you can watch the Yankees in Chicago to take on the Cubbies. The Yankees were in the south side of Chicago yesterday and lost 2 games to the White Sox, going back to back on that one. All right, so St. Louis and Toronto, that game is the alternate game on MLB Network tonight at 7 o'clock. The primary game, the White Sox in Tampa Bay on MLB Network. Peacock has the Phillies in Baltimore as their number 1 game on 7 o'clock. Apple TV has Texas at Houston at 8 o'clock on Apple TV. The 9 o'clock game on Apple TV is San Francisco, San Diego. The late night games on MLB Network are Milwaukee and the Angels. Detroit at the Athletics is the alternate game. Peacock's late night game is Minnesota and Seattle. And ESPN on the app, their late night game is the Dodgers and the Red Sox. The Dodgers hosting the Red Sox at Chavez Ravine. All right, so Saturday, what's going on there? Well, FS1 has Minnesota, Seattle. That game, Connor Onion and Mark Sweeney's doing the play-by-play and color on that. The Yankees and the Cubbies are on Fox. That's your main game. Adam Amin and AJ Pasinski on the call there. Arizona at Cleveland. No idea why that game's on television, but okay. Kevin Kugler and Tom Verducci on the call there. Boston and the Dodgers. That's an ESPN app game. Major League Baseball Network. That is the Milwaukee Brewers at the Angels. In the late game on Peacock Saturday night at 9:30 is Detroit at the Athletics. Sunday's games. The early game, 1:30. Philly at Baltimore. Arizona is at Cleveland at 1:30 on Baseball Network. That's the alternate game. St. Louis at Toronto. That game is at 1:30. That's a Peacock game. An ESPN app games, the White Sox at Tampa Bay. That's a 1:30 start. And Milwaukee at the Angels. That's your Peacock National game with Matt Vasgersian, Vinny Rotino, and Mark Gubiza. Boston and the Dodgers is only going to be on NBC. Jason Benedetti, Oral Hershiser, and Lou Maroney on the call for that one. So that's your weekend on baseball. Let's go over to soccer, where we start on tomorrow, August 1st. Inter Milan is taking on Manchester City. That's a friendly. That's on the CBS Sports Network. You've got Ferrick versus St. Mirren, which is a Scottish Premier League game. That's a 10 a.m. game. Also on CBS Sports Network, that would be after Inter Milan takes on Manchester City. Real Madrid and Florentino, again, that's friendly. That's on the zone. That's at noon. At 12:30, it's Aberdeen and Hearts. That's a Scottish Premiership opener. That's on CBS Sports Network. And then we move over to the games on Apple TV, which have to do with, of course, the MLS getting back into action after the break and after the All-Star break. You've got Miami FC against Detroit FC. That's actually, pardon me, on this one, this is the USL Championship, one of their series games. That's on ESPN Plus. FC Cincinnati and San Jose, that's the MLS game. That's a 7:30 game in Cincinnati. We've got Philadelphia at Atlanta. That game's on Apple at 7:30. Also on Apple at 7:30, the Red Bulls and Orlando City. Again, Apple at 7:30 is going to be Montreal and New England. Apple at 7:30 in Miami. It's Inter Miami and Columbus. 7:30 again, DC United and Nashville. And 7:30 Fort Wayne versus Union Omaha. That's a USL League One game. That's going to be on CBS Sports. So there's your soccer for this weekend. And gave you the baseball. And the key to watch, as I said before, is when the trades are starting to happen. I imagine most of them start to happen on Saturday into Sunday, and then maybe Monday, but likely it's Saturday, Sunday. Let's go to the WNBA for this week. Of course, they're coming off their All-Star weekend. Let's see who we've got this weekend. Tonight's games, Dallas is at Washington. That's a national game on Ion. Dorian Kraft, Christy Whitler, and Scott Wilkins is on the call for that one. Seattle is at Atlanta. I'm sorry, no, Seattle is not at Atlanta. Seattle, Atlanta, that's on Ion as well. That's Angel Gray and Tabitha Turner Wilkins. Indiana and Portland face off this in the late game. That, of course, is on Ion. Elsie Woodward and AJ Ellison on the call there. Saturday's games on CBS. It's Vegas at Chicago. The late game on ABC, late meaning the late afternoon game, is the New York Liberty at Phoenix. That game is a 3 o'clock tip. That's on ABC. Sunday's ABC game is Indiana at Minnesota. You got LA at Portland. That's a 3:30 game on NBC. And the primetime game is on ESPN. That's Connecticut against Dallas. Okay, so that's your baseball, your soccer, and your WNBA for this weekend. Okay, let's go over the trade deadline one more time. Top trade candidates and rumors as of right now, which is 12:30 on the 31st day of August. Two-time Cy Young Award winner Tarik Skubal. We already talked that the Dodgers have moved possibly into the lead for that situation for him to be traded to the Dodgers. We'll keep an eye on that. The Rays, Brewers, Braves, and Yankees and Cubs are also in the hunt for Tarik Skubal. We talked about that a little earlier. We talked about the Rays and everybody being interested in Hunter Green. Again, how much of he's coming off of an arm injury. He just literally came off the injury reserve list. So there's definitely going to be interest, but there's also going to be trepidation as to whether or not you just traded away 4 or 5 players to get, a superstar pitcher. And, does he still have that 100-mile-an-hour fastball? Mason Miller, top reliever. We talked about him for the Padres. Catcher's market. The Yankees, Red Sox, and Rays have been interested in 2 different people. The Rockies, Hunter Goodman, who is, the asking price is pretty high on him because, of course, he's under control for a number of years. The Yankees and Rays have also checked out Orioles catcher, Adley Rushman. Man, I don't know what it would take to get Adley Rushman out of Baltimore, and especially to send him to a competitor in the Yankees and the Rays. That might be a little too much. Boston is seeking a shortstop. They've showed interest in Zach Neto, of course, of the Angels. C.J. Abrams of the Nationals. That's going to take a absolute and total. To pry C.J. Abrams out of Washington, that's going to take a massive amount of draft choices. Not draft choices, but players from the minor league system. Jeremy Paris of the Astros and Otto Lopez of the Marlins are also in the mix there. The Marlins have said to everybody, don't call us about Sandy Alcantara. He is not going to be moved. Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards, possible, but unlikely. The Marlins are likely to stay there. Other notables, we talked about Casey Mize. He was scratched from today's pitching for cautionary reasons. We'll see if the interest is there. The Mets have declared that Francisco Lindor is off limits at the deadline, but Freddie Peralta and Clay Holmes aren't. The Red Sox acquired, as we said earlier, Curtis Mead. The deal backfired when he fractured his wrist in his first game. So let's take a quick look at the market and the key takeaways. With chaotic wildcard races in both leagues, analysts expect a busy trade deadline. Some teams will take risks. Detroit's decision on Skubal could be the biggest domino, potentially triggering a chain of trades. We'll have to see how that works. The Mets and the Blue Jays, who many people would have said could have been in the World Series this year, are expected to surprisingly be sellers at the trade deadline. Key takeaways, Skubal's move is the big story with the Dodgers, and the Rays right up there with the Brewers. Other stars like Green, Miller, Lindor are also in the mix, even though we've said Lindor is off limits. Don't be surprised if he's not, if the asking price is just about right. All right, folks. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, a safe one. And we will be back on Monday, and we'll find out then who's been traded and who hasn't, and who, again, will show up in another uniform. So until that time, have a great weekend. Enjoy your summer, and we shall see you on Monday. Take care.